Hello,
Hi.
and welcome to the Roundtable, Season 3, bitches. What's going on?
Life, liberty, and love.
Yeah.
Truth and
I'm
justice.
excited.
Lord, my fucking camera. Girl, let me tell you something. Those potions won't work.
That should be an intro, Lord the fucking camera.
I'm just, okay, like, what the fuck? Seriously? Oh my god.
I just popped my damn blood.
You popped your button?
Yeah, the button came off. I'm glad it wasn't because the fupa is attempting to do the most. Shut the fuck up, Tramel.
I ain't saying nothing.
Girl, reappear, honey. Hello, God.
Yes, God.
All right, y'all, and welcome. We are one short today, but that's fine. We can carry on, honey. We love you, Carl, and we'll see you next time, boo. Yes,
Absolutely.
God. Yes, honey. So obviously, you see some new faces. I've been prepping y'all to be ready, honey. First, let me introduce the co-host. The cat's meow. Obviously, y'all know it's T. Hello.
Hey.
Co-host Conscious TV. Hello, God. Y'all already know the T.
Already.
Tramel. Who doesn't love Tramel, bitch?
Period.
They don't
Who
know
doesn't
me.
love Tramel?
I don't
He's
get
giving us
Period.
arms and skin today.
I'm
Look
trying.
at you. See, that's his dedication to the Yes God Roundtable. He's trying to lure y'all.
Yes, God.
Oh, God.
Yes,
This is
God.
my comfortable wear. This is my my hood booger wear.
Okay.
Oh, hood bugger. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'm
As
talking
long as
about.
the hair did, that's all that matters. Even if you wear nothing but a t-shirt. That's what my mama always taught me, is to keep your nappy ass head dead. So
I feel like that's an inside read there, because you knew what my hair was looking like just a couple of days ago. Thank you for that, though.
With the power of transformation. Amen.
It's everything, bitch. Yes.
You know what? When I was younger, I never took that much care of myself like I should have. But once I realized what a haircut, just a simple thing as a haircut could do for you, it's over with.
Yeah.
Night and day. You should shave or just line up real quick. Spend those $10, $15, $25 if you live where I live, child. These expensive ass motherfuckers.
But I like the natural look that especially black men are getting into. Like, I love Cat's hair. Like, when I saw Tramel's hair like just up, I'm like, that is like, your hair is already styled itself, but Tramel has his hair like that, and I don't know why.
I love Tramel's hair.
Yeah.
Yes, God.
It's just sometimes it's hard to manage, so I have
Not to
styles
manage.
going.
I understand.
It'll be all over the place and it's falling out and shit. And I, you know.
Yeah. Between the dead ends and the hair just doing what it wants to do some days, yeah, it's a struggle.
Bonnet every night. I suggest that to everyone. It'll keep your hair together through the
So
hard.
bonnet really work?
Yeah.
Really? That's
a bonnet, it keeps your hair from drying out as you sleep. Satin.
Oh.
Okay.
It keeps it moisturized because hair really breaks when it's dry. So to keep your hair looking good, you should wear a bonnet regularly, every night.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tammy Roman was.
Bonnet Chronicles, bitch.
Bonnet Chronicles.
I've been thinking about getting a shower cap. I've been actually thinking about getting a shower cap to keep my hair protected, girl. But, okay. Welcome everybody to the chat. All four of you. Where is everybody at, bitch? Janae, baby, how you doing? Lock Queen Jace. Hello, Jeffrey Young. Link Mar, hello. How y'all doing? Anyway, so now that you guys are here, and again, I want to say thank you so much for your contribution. The people are going to be gagged, bitch. Okay? They're going to just live for it because we're, combined, we are definitely, bitch, of course.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to the first topic at hand, if that's fine with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to play a clip. It's a little under 5 minutes, but pay attention to this raggedy ass bitch, please. Pay attention.
If I can endure this whole for almost 5 minutes.
The beginning is a little bit of preamble, but I think it sets up the tone, at least for a conversation that is worthy. Amen.
Okay.
First of all, Javian's father was in prison for damn near 10 years. Now, you know when you were in prison, you are not in a position to be a daddy. You ain't in a position to provide. You're not in a position to do nothing, right? His daddy went to prison. His daddy just came out of prison a year ago. Now his daddy already dead. Now, before his daddy went to prison, I have to tell you about this, and I have to be honest. His father was absolutely a provider, okay? His daddy had money. So you know you had them daddies, they gonna come, they gonna drop off some racks, and they gonna be gone. His father was a provider. Not one haircut, not one basketball game, not one counseling session, not one PTA meeting, not one conversation where we are sitting down, right? Talking with medical professionals to get our child some help. Now, one time, did you take him to the doctor? I'm just talking about being a parent. Being a parent. So what I want to tell people, right? And I don't fuck all the trolls in the comments, all of these little boys that think that they women, they can't even help themselves. You have to pray for them, right? You have to pray that this society, right, has led our young men to believe that they women. Not only that, this is the issue right here, right? As Black Americans, why would you even support little boys getting fucked in the ass? I'm just gonna go on and be real. Let's just go on and have a conversation. I'm a woman, I don't even like it. Why would you support, like even with Dwayne Wade and his 12-year-old son, like nigga, you sitting up here grooming your son for butt sex. You want him out here walking around looking like a grown woman so a grown man can get hold to him. Huh? How is it in a community? Where did this come from? Because this shit ain't from Africa. All y'all talking about y'all African Americans, ain't none of this going on over here. Ain't none of this going on over there, right? In Africa, they're not feminizing their men. In Africa, they aren't aborting their children. They don't believe in that. So when y'all say y'all African Americans, how in the world do you support? It's like the world's so fucked up, right? Our men would rather be women than be a man. Why you don't want to be a man? Why you don't want to be a man? Why do you even want to think that you're a woman? How does that benefit you? And I'm asking Dr. Phil, like I felt like I was the counselor. I'm asking this man, okay, first of all, how would it benefit me to transition my son into a woman? How would it benefit me? How is that gonna help me for my son walking around here thinking he prettier than me? How is it gonna help me for my son and his lost mind to think that me and him in some type of competition? How does it benefit me for my son who making money off bingo, and he does make money and just start making money, paying rent at a condo, right? Paying rent at a condo to feel like he competing with me and I'm a homeowner, huh? And a business owner, huh? I done paid my dues. Like, how is it that we have gotten to this part in America where we feel as though we have to compete, or that our sons need to be competing with their mothers? Ain't nothing normal about that. It ain't got nothing to do with being gay. It's the mindset. Because as long as they think that they women, they're going to be running around here acting like women. And the issue with me with a lot of these trannies when it comes to black trannies is y'all want to be the worst kind of black woman. You want to be the worst kind of black woman. Now, they want to talk to me, right, on the show. They done played all these videos of Jay dressed like a woman, bending over, shaking his ass all on the TV, out there fighting all of this other stuff that they doing, right? But they want to talk to me about my support of Trump. How is we supposed to be here about family issues? How is my support of Trump more important than my son, who a grown-ass man, bending over, shaking his ass with nuts hanging out the motherfucking bottle? Oh. How is that more important? Like, how do you think, you a whole grown man, 6'4", wear a size 14 shoe, bruh, nuts just hanging? How does it, how is it that in America, we are sitting here supporting men, our men, black men, making a whole damn fool out of yourself? Like, you don't even know how to be a respectable black woman. You gotta be ratchet.
Well, I mean, look at the example he has. Look at the example. And furthermore, nobody said anything about competition. Ever. Ever. And a true parent would know that raising your child is never about you. It's not about her at all. You should want your kids to be better than you. So if he's going to be a woman and I'm a woman, I want him to be a better woman than me. So there is no competition. I want to groom you to be better than me. But
the thing that took me was there was so much focus, singular focus on competition. You are a sorry ass mother. You're a sorry ass human being. Your soul is filtered in darkness. You need to get your life together. You sorry excuse for a human being. You are so worried about there being some level of competition between your child, something that came out of you, bitch, and you want to. Your dead fucking husband, for crying out loud, you emasculated the whole fuck out of him.
mm-hmm.
You want to say you're not homophobic and transphobic, but these are the things that you display to the people. Your anger is not derived from anything other than the fact that you are an insecure woman, an insecure black woman. Because that's what it seems like, because growing up, you hear a lot of this. There's a lot, love the black women that support us, but there also is that group that always, for some reason, comes at us because of they think competition. We're out to get their men. We're out to turn their men out. And there becomes a hate that dwells in them. Any thoughts? Because, girl,
That's the inferiority complex to me because I feel like what's mine is mine. I can groom you to be exactly who I am, but what's for me is for me. So it's not going to affect me one way or the other. You can't take my man. You can take somebody else's. You can take men in general, but you can't take mine.
And wouldn't it be disgusting as fuck if your transgender child could take your husband, bitch?
No, she wasn't referring to them as transgender. That was very disrespectful that she was saying tranny.
Oh, my bad. I have respect. That bitch doesn't.
She was saying tranny, and that's very disrespectful.
Grown men, not even having the kind of respect that's deserved.
And let me just say this. Girl, unless you try getting fucked in the ass, don't talk about it. Because it is not as bad as you trying to make it seem.
I'm sure when she was locked up, someone stuck some fingers in her booty hole.
Girl, don't. Why are you grooming your son to be fucking ass? Why not? Do you really want him diving in pussy?
Oh my God. My whole thing is just a couple of things that she was saying was more so. I did see the hypocrisy of it all a little bit. When she talks about competition, she's talking about transsexual people of transsexual experience competing with women or cisgender women, whereas there are cisgender women who fight for equality to, in the workplace against men. So when she talks about competition, why you want a man competing against a woman? I thought that was weird because there are women who compete with men in work fields and stuff like that, and they want respect, which they deserve. Like everybody deserves respect. So that stood out to me, and just the energy that she was giving off was very masculine to me. It was very manly. It was very direct. She doesn't know the antithesis of being a woman. She doesn't know how to be soft-spoken. She doesn't know how to verbalize her opinion without being nasty, without using harsh language. That is not very ladylike, in my opinion, whatsoever. So I don't know what kind of man would actually be interested in that. So she's not I don't feel like she's the end-all, be-all when it comes to what is manly and what is feminine and what makes a great woman and what makes a great man. I don't think that she really, really, honestly, truly knows because she was not raised correctly, in my opinion. So that's my whole thought process. So everything that she was saying was kind of like just going in one ear and out the other, not because she's entitled to her opinion or whatever the case may be, but it just coming from a place of I'm watching this lady act like a man talking about people who are having or who are transitioning and what they should and should not act like, and you're not even quite sure what kind of energy you're supposed to be given because you were never given for tools as a woman to be a woman, if you want to call it that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Conscious. I feel like you're gonna give it, girl. Go ahead, child.
Like, girl, if you don't want your child to be a transgender person, just say that. Just say you're upset and just let it go. I mean, just verbalize that.
I'm trying to figure out if her issue was with trans people in general or with your trans child.
Yeah, I feel
because
like
when she was on Chase and Chat, she was just like, I don't want to refer to my child as a woman. You know, she was referring to Shauna as a woman and all of that, but in this argument right here, you have a disdain for trans people in general. So it's like,
it's personal. It's cutting deeper than it should, where it's reaching out to the rest of the community. It's okay. I believe that parents do what the fuck you want to do in your parenting style. That's fine. But when you start sending that message out and using your platform to speak that hateful rhetoric, it bleeds off. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it that shows your true conviction behind it. So this lets me know you are transphobic, you are homophobic, you're a hateful, spiteful bitch. And we don't need you spewing that Donald Trump hate train, that all of that fuck shit. All that does is weaken the minds of the people who are already questioning their sanity as it pertains to trying to find themselves in this gay life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Conscious, come on. Give us what you got.
I cannot. Come on.
You know, it's interesting for Mrs. Stanton to be as transphobic and homophobic as she is when she comes off as a very handsome and very masculine man herself. Regarding her statements, men are wanting to be women due to society. I just want her to take a class in sexual orientation and gender identity so that she can actually understand the way that fundamentally works on a psychological and on a scientific level. Because before America ever even became inclusive, trans women were still identifying as trans, pushing the streets. Gay men were still gay, just in secret. Homosexuality is not a new thing. Therefore, you can't blame seeing homosexuals and transsexuals visibly on the culture, because when you speak like that, you're speaking as if queer people didn't exist before Empire, as if queer people didn't exist before RuPaul Drag Race, as if queer people didn't exist before Ellen DeGeneres talk show. So queer people have always been here, Angela. Society is not making them anyway. On to why support gayness and gay sex. I find the obsession that heterosexual people have with our sex to be very fascinating. It's like their go-to attitude. They absolutely refuse to actually acknowledge that queer people actually develop loving, meaningful, romantic relationships as a whole separate thing from sex, which comes as a natural byproduct of being in an intimate relationship to anyone. That would be the case for heterosexuals as well. So I'm still trying to figure out. Let's just go on. Gayness is not African. Okay. That would be probably one of the biggest, most fraudulent misconceptions within Black America. It's this understanding that Africa is non-queer, when the actuality of that is that before colonialism, before the invasion of Europeans, before Europeans evangelized Africa, the reason why those Europeans were so deeply invested in preaching an anti-queer sermon is because of how rampant LGBT dynamics were in Africa. And they looked at those Africans and said, how can you be same-sex attracted? How can y'all celebrate these unions and spiritualize this union? And so inserting Christianity and the bigotry and the homophobia that can be justified through religiosity into Africa was because of how visible LGBT everything was in Africa. The only reason why Africa today is homophobic is the result of European invasion and colonialism. So I'm gonna need Angela Stanton to pick up a history book and learn about the history and the lives and the contributions and the spiritual interpretations of transgenderism and homosexuality within Africa, because they had a very spiritual understanding of both masculine, femininity. They understood that these things were energetic and spiritual, and therefore anyone could possess masculine and feminine energies, that men could be feminine, women could be masculine. They understood that sexuality was a spectrum, not a binary. Africa is deeply metaphysical. That's why they have the goddamn pyramids. That's why they got damn Egypt. Like, that's why they had the sacred geometry. Africa was deeply progressive before the idiotic conquistador cave-dwelling mayonnaise people pulled over and pulled in and pulled up in their Amistad Mayflower fucking ships. So Miss Angela, you afforded all this coin. Girl, I just want you to hit a college again. I want you to hit a very progressive, intelligent, a black university and really get you an understanding, because whatever the hell you was reading while you was getting your pussy sucked out in a federal penitentiary, boo, it didn't do you no justice, honey, okay? While you was around there getting butt fucked by Big Brenda down the hallway instead of having your ass in the library learning something, sugar, okay? You could have instead been very deeply educated. Moving along, how would it benefit you? There is a term that I coined called parental narcissism. Parents suffer, lots of parents, not even just when it comes to the gay issue, suffer from parental narcissism, which is this idea that my child is to become my fantasy, is to become whatever it is I desire for them, okay? And because of this parental narcissism, lots of children are forced to comply with their parents' vision for them in order to maintain the love and the affection of their parents, because parents manipulate their children to identify my desire for your life with my love for you. And if you do not comply with that desire, I will absolve myself of loving you. And that's very fucking unfortunate, but there's a parental narcissism there. And last but not least, okay, this, her going off about how is it, well, this is connected to what I was just saying about her competing with her child. You know, this is what's interesting. It's very clear to me that Angela Stanton is a parent and not a mother. And there is a distinct difference between parenting, which is simply providing, and mothering, which is actually nurturing, loving, creating, instilling, encouraging self-actualization, okay? So Angela Stanton, just because you provided a roof, you provided trade, which in turn behaved like in heterosexual and impregnated you, and then ultimately left you to raise her by yourself, okay? Okay, sugar mama? Uh-huh. Okay? That's your shit. Just because you provide it doesn't make you a mother. You indeed are simply just a parent. And unfortunately, so many motherfuckers have been raised by parents and not by fathers and mothers. So, you know, my issue with Angela Stanton could go on for days, and I'm gonna shut the hell up. And just on one more note, when she says my child as a trans, as a I'm not gonna refer to my child. What's interesting about that is most, and no dig to the heterosexual community, but most heterosexuals are deeply indoctrinated and ingrained to be homophobic and transphobic. What happens is they don't know it until that homosexuality shows up as their child, that they are transphobic and homophobic. They compartmentalize the homophobia. They can tolerate it in the form of my good Judy. They can tolerate it in the form of my hairstylist. They can tolerate it in the form of my favorite gay celebrity. But let that homosexuality show up intimately in their life, aka in the form of their children, then we got the big curtain reveal, and then we see the truth that shit was deep down behind all of the layers of your being. So it's more of a coming out for straight people when they all of a sudden have an issue with their child being queer or trans. And on that note, Angela Stanton, suck my dick if you can even do that well.
Oh.
I think what's interesting about this woman also, she was and just briefly, I know people that are fans of Chasing Reality, you know, they have a show out called Chasing Chat, and she was recently a guest on their platform. And the only question that I really had for them was, after watching both parts, I felt as if, one, that's mainly an LGBT platform, and I feel like the only reason to have a guest like that on, and I spoke about this on Consciousness Live about a week and a half ago, and I still say what I wanted to say. I didn't even watch it then, and I had a chance to watch it, and I came up with the same conclusion. If there's not going to be, the reason to meet is to have a meeting of the minds. That way we both can walk away with something from each other. The only reason to have controversial characters like that on your platform is to build some type of bridge of unity. And I felt like in both parts, there was none of that. If anything, she was extremely combative, extremely disrespectful. But at the same time, you have a fellow trans sister who, it happens to be a really close friend of hers, who I felt like the entire panel just kind of pussyfooted around her and was just happy to have her on the platform because she's Angela Stanton, whatever the fuck that means to people. But it didn't do it any justice. I felt like there was nothing learned there from her perspective. So, you know, that's one of the reasons I also wanted to bring this up too, because I wanted to let LGBT platforms know, don't give life and credence to people who are not willing to learn something from what you're trying to bring together. It's no point. If they're going to walk away with the same hateful mind frame, it's not doing our community any justice, giving them that platform when you could have gave it to someone else, i.e. probably her daughter. You feel me? So, you know, that's all I wanted to say on that end. But translating...
I co-sign that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the true tea. And I know a lot of other people may have other views on that, because I've at least heard some things publicly, but at the end of the day, girl, take the fanning and the standing out of it, and just to have a name on a platform and really think and rewatch those things. Y'all learned nothing. Nothing was taken away from it. All of y'all dumbed down because I've seen y'all just together without a guest really combat each other on differences of opinion. I felt like you could have utilized your platform, your voices, to really knock it to her ass, not jump on her and attack her, but read into her the same way y'all read into other conversation pieces. Don't ever be afraid of someone saying stuff that goes against your existence. I would have hit that remove button extremely quickly. But that's just me. I'm a bitch.
I think, honestly, conversations like that should be had in public view. But like, to your point, it definitely should have been more of a combative situation on their end versus her, not her just going at them and them not saying nothing or pussyfooting around. I didn't see but it's good to see that type of those type of conversations being had, because it just shows that we are not just going to roll over and just take what they're going to take. So if they're going to do that and just to have her on and then pussyfoot around her, then that's horrible. That was the worst decision they could have ever done. But if they were going to have her there and not jump on her, like you say, but just be combative and hit her with knowledge and facts and a different way of thinking, so that other people can see what they can do against somebody like her.
Well, ironically, the only person who
themselves against somebody like her,
and the only person that really challenged her was a straight man, which was
consciously. He
was the only person who challenged her, and he's a straight man. So it's just like, you got a panel of gay people, and nobody can challenge her. And he had factual challenges, and that's when I realized, that's why I didn't watch the second part, because I can't convince a brick wall to be this guy. I just can't. And she was given information that completely, you know, trumps whatever she believed. And she was just like, I don't believe you. I don't. No. We can move on because I'm not buying this. And yeah, people like that are pointless to try to convince otherwise.
Yeah, it's like, you know, trying to raise the dead child.
Yeah.
But speaking of this situation, it ties into, you know, the next topic. Hearing that obviously sparks a little bit of outrage, and I think it makes us go down memory lane a little bit. Any time of your guys' life dealing with some type of homophobia that you can recall, how you dealt with it, what was happening during that time? Anything you want to share with people who need a little hint of inspiration to feel better about the way they're being treated out here in the world?
I mean, it happens to all of us. So, I mean, I'm sure we have stories for days. You know, just little normal. Like today, I was leaving from the grocery store and I was coming back home, and I wanted to park into a certain parking space, and there was a group of people talking. And I'm like, Hong Kong, you know, let me park. And they were basically, as I was like walking from my car to my apartment, like taunting me, like not directly, but I could hear them talking about me. And I just stood in the middle of the parking lot, and I was just like, now, if I come back and beat all y'all ass, I'm all right.
Period.
Oh, he got an attitude. Oh, no, I don't have an attitude. I wasn't fucking with y'all. I wanted to park my car. And if I was anybody else get out this car, y'all wouldn't have shit to say. But because I'm a punk, y'all feel like y'all can try me. Don't.
I keep telling you to get your sister Mary Clarence, honey.
Yeah.
I don't argue with no bitch.
I probably wanted to pull a Travis and would just spray some pepper spray there and just let it fall. Where the grace of God just allowed it to fall. And if you get in your eyes, then bitch, you just get in your eyes. Good luck driving home, bitch, because y'all don't live here.
I'm a more bust you in the kneecaps kind of guy, but okay.
Well, I've actually been to jail and you haven't, so no, ma'am. I'm not going back.
Well, on that note, Kat,
I'm not going back to jail.
I've been to jail too, but I don't mind it. So I'm a pull the trigger kind of bitch too.
Because I went to jail for fighting along, so I know.
And I don't want to go. I'm never.
I've been for fighting along, so I know if I had a gun, and the way my attitude is set up, I would have bled the block today.
I'm the only people who need a gun. It's the ones who gonna use it, in my opinion.
True. Yeah, but wisely though. You don't want to just frivolously be out here shooting people just because they challenging your whatever.
Well, my goal would be to spray up the block and get the fuck out of it, so I can get.
I live here though. I can't spray up the block and then come into my.
Girl, come over to Florida, girl. I got you, girl. You know, I got you, child. We'll call it. We'll change your name, cut your hair, child.
No, we're not.
Period.
We're gonna give her a bad slick down, honey, and put a wig on.
Okay.
Yes, God, honey.
Anybody else dealt with homophobia? I don't want to say racism, but it's pretty much the same. Anybody else want to share about a homophobic experience they had?
Honestly, I've never had any like direct homophobic experiences that I can recall towards me from outside. Definitely from my family though. My mother and my father. It was like, I think that's the worst kind too, because it comes from a place that you're expecting to be like.
And you respect what they think about you. These hoes in the parking lot, I don't care about.
Yeah,
but
I don't even care about. So I'll never see y'all again in my life. But for it to come from a family member, and this was like a long time ago, but you know, it still leaves those scars, and you'll still always remember it. You know, it was a very like traumatizing time, and I was really, really young. So, you know, it's kind of like when you're still trying to find yourself and trying to express yourself in the ways that you feel like you need to express yourself. And it's kind of like, damn, like the two people who's supposed to care the most is just like tearing me down the worst than anybody on the street. And it's kind of like, woo, how you gonna make it? How you gonna make it?
Yeah, you have to give people like that an ultimatum. My dad was like that. Luckily, we're in a better place, but I had to just say, I'm gonna be this way, whether I'm in your life or not. So you choose whether or not I'm here, because I'm leaving, and the door to my heart is going to be closed and locked. However, if you knock, I will answer. You're my father, and I love you. But I'm going to need you to knock with some authenticity and some genuineness in your heart, or if not, you will literally never see me again. And I'm completely okay with that.
And that's what
what kills me is that when people, you know, when you're hanging out, you got homeboys and homegirls and family and shit or whatever, and forever y'all growing up child, you tell each other, oh, I'm a ride or die for you, and I always got your back, I'm no matter what. But as soon as you bust out the closet, honey, on a bitch, the niggas go to changing. Niggas go to act like they don't want to hang out with you, but it's almost as if y'all kind of already knew, but you were okay with it when I was inside. Now that I'm outside, you're not.
Because it doesn't challenge them and what they believe. Like, as long as you hide it and make me feel comfortable, I'm okay. But the moment you make me feel uncomfortable, you're wrong.
But I'm supposed to be your boy. I'm supposed to be your down ass motherfucking ride or die, right? That should not change the course of our relationship. I feel, you know, and I've lost many of friends. I don't, you know, my story. I don't really got family like that, but you know, the family I do have, they love me regardless. Hello, God. And some of the friends, you know, I still kept because of it or whatever. But it seemed like some of the motherfuckers, child, hell no. And then now it becomes a homophobic experience.
Yeah, because you know why they don't hang with you no more. You can see it very clearly.
Yeah, fuck on that.
But that goes to that that internalized homophobia that a lot of heterosexual folk are conditioned with. And it's honestly, I empathize on one end with heterosexual people because it's not their fault, but it is their responsibility to unlearn it once they experience the homophobia within them. Like, I accept that, yes, you've been conditioned by religion and social norms and social constructs to perceive reality a certain way, to perceive men and women a certain way. But once you see that you hold an idea and an attitude that literally hurts another person, either emotionally or mentally, like, it's your job to mature, to evolve, and to adjust. Because even going back to the Angela Stanton shit, like, she's talking about raising her child. One of the sad issues here is that when you're trying to change somebody's gender identity or sexuality, you're really talking about attempting to really shift their humanity, and you can't change a person's humanity. Like, you can't change my ethnicity no more than you can change my maleness. Like, I'm a male, I'm a black male. Also, my orientation is connected to that humanity. These will be things that are irreversible, things that are fundamental to my actual makeup as a person. You can't alter those things. And this is why queer people and queer youth are killing themselves and being pushed into suicide and suicidal ideation because of the distress that comes from attempting to alter something that you fucking can't. The whole download community is a complete receipt that, despite trying to identify so masculine, trying to be so hyper masculine, trying to fuck as many women as possible, trying to do everything that I can do, that yet I still enjoy boy pussy. And that's okay. So it's an entire receipt that, no, this is not something that can be altered. And even those who have changed, I believe because sexuality is a spectrum, you didn't really change from one thing to the other. You just entertained the 5% of pansexuality, the 5% of bisexuality that you actually were on the spectrum of. And you use religion and use homophobia and use the backlash that you experienced to motivate you to entertain that 10% of you that was on that bisexual or pansexual. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about why this shit looks the way that it looks. But in terms of the actual question of how I experienced homophobia, of course, a gay ass bitch like me has definitely experienced my share of homophobia, but most of my homophobia came from growing up. When I was probably in middle school is when I experienced the bulk of middle school. Was motherfucking, because they knew I was gay before I knew I was gay. I didn't even know what the fuck gay was. I wasn't even entertaining my sexuality when between 6 and 8, but they knew I was gay before I did. So that was interesting to me. And that
do you think that kind of affected you in a way of making you think in that way? Because I can say
was gay.
It's almost like that effect of like, let's say somebody, you never seen a movie, right? You've never seen a movie, but somebody tells you the movie's not good. So automatically you're going to go into it thinking that the movie's not good. And then ultimately the movie's not going to be good. So do you think that that could have been, not saying that you wouldn't have always turned out the way you turned out because you're a beautiful person, but it's like, do you think that that could have made you think like, what am I? Made it confuse you, like giving you some kind of like thought of let me figure out what they're talking about and what this really means and how I'm different from them and what that really means to me.
Well, it definitely created that. It definitely created it made me pay attention to my orientation. I knew I had an orientation because I experienced an orientation when I was like yay high. Like I just had a different there's a different magnetism between me and boys that just wasn't there between me and girls. But because I wasn't raised in a gay culture, my parents we didn't have gay friends, gay people weren't really around in my upbringing, there just was not really a context for what I felt initially. Then when the whole gay word started getting flung around and I started to understand, I was like, oh, this is what that energetic connection point between me and men is. Okay, fine. But my experience was brutal because that wasn't okay to be. That wasn't fine. It wasn't okay for me to be that way. So I've experienced homophobia, but what helped me to kind of accept or what turned things around for me was I adopted an attitude that not just my sexuality, but that any truth of my being is a natural filter to filter out any bitch who don't need to be in my life to begin with. So if you're offended by the color of my skin, if you are offended by my sexuality, if you are offended by my aesthetic, if you are offended by whatever my truths are, for me, the universe has did me a favor by allowing you to cut a fool and to show that you're not team CTV. And I think that's a blessing more so than a curse, because I don't need no fugazi, subliminal, secretly one way and type of a bitch around me. So for me, really adopting that, really just, I wasn't impacted the same way by people having an issue for one reason or another with me once I came to understand that my truth is a natural ass filter. I ain't give a fuck after that.
Just want to introduce Carl real quick. He's coming in the building, amen. Hey, what's up?
Bitch, I know you ain't in the car.
Oh, that bitch is in the car. I don't think we can hear Carl, though. I don't think we can hear him.
We can't hear you, baby.
What? Y'all talking to me?
Yeah. You're live. You're live, whore.
Oh, I'm on here? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Bitch, it's like backstage. I'm like, bitch, I'm just gonna sit back here, bitch.
Oh, you didn't want to come on?
What's a long day, but what's going on?
Child, nothing. How are you? Oh. It just went off. Okay.
The drive-through.
He's in the car, so that connection makes it a little weird.
Oh, that motion going through them towers is going to act janky like that. Yeah.
Okay. But okay. I appreciate y'all for sharing your experiences on this. Thank you.
I need to 60 seconds go, but I'm still listening. I just need to picture it up real quick, but I'm listening.
Okay. We're gonna go a little darker place real quick.
Not a darker place.
Just we're gonna have a discussion about rape culture within our community. The reason for that is I've been noticing a big uptake in the whole porn industry, on how they're taking advantage of a lot of their young models. And this isn't just happening in the white world. This has been happening in the black world. Because I remember when I lived in Atlanta, honey, there were many stories coming out about producers and people that were trying to come through and utilize their position, so to speak, and to garner these young people to come through because they had nowhere else to go. A lot of these kids were like ostracized from their homes and things of that nature because of their sexuality, you know, orientation, whatever. So they were being preyed upon. And we're seeing that now, not even in just the porn industry, but we're seeing it take place with just everyday people. And one of the things that makes me want to have this discussion too is I think people think because that we are gay and because promiscuous is linked to the gay community, they think that we're almost asking for, almost how straight people feel like if a woman is wearing a skimpy shirt, a skimpy skirt or something, that it's okay to disrespect her, like he can touch her and be in her physical space. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick and shed some light on that. Have you guys ever experienced such things or know of anybody or a story where, you know, or just any advice you want to give who to protect themselves out here?
Like we were talking about with the drinks earlier, just, you know, when you're out, keep your drinks covered because people are really out there like doing crazy things. I've never experienced anything like that. Like somebody like, you know, spiking my drink to take advantage of me. But I've heard stories, you know, as you know, I've heard recent stories of people who just were out having a good time and woke up at somebody's house the next day and don't know what happened. And you know, that's not safe. That's not smart. And you should never get yourself to a point to where you can't remember things. If you're not around people that you can absolutely trust, that you know are going to have your back, you should never get to the point of incoherence where you cannot put two and two together. That's just, especially as a grown adult, you just can't move like that. You just can't.
You have to be wary of your surroundings. And I feel like, too, just going back to the whole, like, because I think people prey on the weak. So when you have like an 18, 19-year-old who's been kicked out of their house, and, you know, they ain't got much going on, they need to survive, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, you know, what will you do for a Klondike bar, bitch? You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean take advantage of me to that extent. Just because someone is in need doesn't mean that you prey upon them and try to coax sex out of them as a form of payment for your kindness.
Right.
That to me
that brings up a great point. I was watching this white boy on Instagram, and he was doing like different videos. I guess he was on TikTok, but he was bringing the videos to Instagram, and he was talking about this new thing called grooming, where it's like an older man targets the younger man, and they basically, you know, groom. Like I'm gonna fix you up. I'm gonna, you know, house you. I'm gonna do all these things, and you know, it's kind of like black people with gays. It's like a God complex. Like I do all of this for you to say you would have nothing if it weren't for me, you know. So, you know, even though that's not necessarily considered rape culture, it's prevalent in our community, and a lot of people who are like under 21 are with men that is as old as Ron Isley, and it's just like, girl, what are you doing? Like, that's not how you're supposed to move in these streets just because you're trying to get ahead. Like, that's not what a relationship is at all. And then you should see that you don't really love him because he's out of your age range, and he don't really love you because there's some unequal yokeness going on. Like, if you're 50 and this person is 19, y'all have ultimately nothing in common besides being gay and both being men. That's it.
But what if they 50 and they look good?
If they 50 and they look good, okay, fine. I would date a 50-year-old that looks good, but I'm 30. I'm not 19. So I've still lived and I've still experienced and I've still, you know, had this walk some sort of way as an adult. So I can relate to him. You still living at home with your mama and finna go to college. How can you relate to a 50-year-old man? In any way. Hell, his college experience isn't even the same as what you're going through right now.
That might
Okay, he went to college with Shirley Chisholm. So how are y'all even on the same page as far as like? I'm just saying.
I think first it needs to be addressed that they don't think of men in general as rape victims. So definitely gay men can't be raped by another man. Like, obviously you should be able to fight him off, you know, y'all on the same physical strength level. You're not like a woman or anything, so they just associate that, but they don't factor in like drugs and being taken advantage of in that way. So, you know, just roofies and whatever not. So I heard a story. I don't know how true it is. It was just a story that went around a long time ago. Back when there was this club out here in Atlanta called Chaparral. So there was this is what I was told. So there was a guy who went to the club with his friends or whatever. He got really drunk, and he got separated from his friends and ended up with these guys who took him from the club, took him to their house after he had got completely drunk to where he didn't know what was going on. And they, did things to him that was not of his consent, and then dropped him back off outside the club.
Oh my God.
His friends found him or whatever. So I don't know how true that story is, but like that type of thing could possibly happen. So you just have to really be aware, and just if you go out with your friends, just be careful. I say for the younger crowd, because I heard this
in situations like that, I blame the friends. I came with y'all, so why didn't I leave with y'all? Why are y'all not trying to look for me? Why are y'all not protecting me? Like we came together as a unit.
At least be looking out for me, at least.
Yeah, but I mean, you do have some of those friends that be like, "Girl, don't even wait. I'm gonna go home with homeboys. I don't even trip." Like, but you have to just read the room and know who you're dealing with. Right. I think it's situations like that.
I was just going to say, I don't know somebody who. Well, it's not a rape situation, but there's a guy here. We used to run in the same circles. He had a lot of enemies, but he was also like high in demand because he was like top tier masculine, big dick top, and so of course all of the bottoms were swollen the booty hole over him, and so there was like a lot going on around him. There was like a lot going on around his entity, and I don't know whether it was due to somebody trying to like seduce him or whether somebody was trying to seek revenge because he had a lot of enemies, but somebody had put something in his drink, and whatever they put in his drink completely sent him into a state of psychosis. He ended up having to be put into a mental ward, and he suffered from mental health issues ever since because whatever they did, like neurologically fucked him up, and he hasn't been the same since. And I just saw him like 2 years ago, and you could tell he's still downloading as a human being. And it was like weird because I've known him before that happened to him, and he was just like us, bright, alive, lucid, just in his shit, and now he's like fucked up. What I was going to say is kind of speaking to Kat's point is, people want to be grown, people want to drink, people want to smoke, people want to do crack, people want to do whatever they want to do. All I can say to that is, look, be reckless responsibly, meaning that if you want to get drunk till you pissy poor, passed out, do that in your fucking home. If you want to be drugged out and mollied out and popped out, do that in a space that you are in control of. And if there are going to be people there, it needs to be people who fuck with you the long way. Not no sideline ass friend bitch, not no associate, not a girl who you only talk to every 3 weeks, but it needs to be somebody who will also lay down their life for your ass if that's what it comes down to. So I am all about, like, if you want to be reckless, fine, just be reckless responsibly. In terms of rape culture itself, as Kat was saying, there is a lot of grooming, but grooming isn't also like exclusive to the LGBT community. That's exclusive to the pedophilia thing and being predatorial. Like there was a girl named Kimberly Pollard like a few years ago on my platform who I helped bring somebody who exploited her situation to justice, but she was being groomed by her pastor since she was like 14 and end up in a relationship with him all the way up until her adulthood, and then she broke it off. But then the pastor once she retired him, wanted her daughter, who was only like 8 years old at the time, and that's what made her go pursue the law and get publicity for the story and shit. And so it was just a lot. So grooming is a real thing. But so funny about that, Kat, is that I naturally am attracted to older people. So the guy that I lost my virginity to, and whom it was like my first real relationship. I was 17, he was 32 at the time. And we were fucking wild for each other. Yes, Carl. He was a big dick, dark skin, braided straight to the back end,
Yes.
motherfucking nigga. Like, we used to have wild gorilla sex, and we was just like crazy for one another, honey. And
Gorilla sex.
wild gorilla sex, wild Zoolander sex, honey.
Yes,
And
honey.
I was here for it. There were discrepancies that ended up contributing to our relationship ending 2 years later because there was a big age gap. We did have things in common, but the things we needed to have in common, we didn't have in common, and that led to us falling away. But I know like a lot of young people who are attracted to older people. I've always been an old soul, so it's in my nature to be attracted to people who are more mature, more wise, etc. And so I loved being around people older than me. I was never into my peers. I thought that niggas was too young. They're stupid. They're idiotic. They're moronic. I ain't got the time. You ain't gonna play them kind of games with me. I want a nigga who more established, who know who he is, who have a sound identity. And that usually came with a man who was at least over 30. And I was, dating in that age range at fucking 16 and 17. So it was interesting.
I'm sure it was.
Now.
Let me tell you something about young people, not minors. Let me just PSA that shit real quick, okay? Anybody's 18 or over, they are only meant for sex, girl. You use them and you dispose of them. You don't create relationships with young folks. They're only meant for a good time. Because let me tell you something, that 18 to 25, 26 genre, girl, they're around here slinging these donkey dicks. And since we're talking about animals, girl, hello, God, they're out here serving the girls truth and justice when it comes to sex. They don't last for shit, amen. But that's what the older men are for.
Yikes!
I just had to get that out.
Yikes!
I feel like that was kind of I feel like you just do a shot, bitch. Cause I was for real at 17 with my little 32-year-old, with my little piece of 32-year-old. Yeah, I was for real about the damn. You know what's so funny about that, YB though? Actually, a lot of young. It's weird because on one end, young people are full of shit. On the other end, because young people are young and they're new to love, they also can be very serious about the way they feel because they don't have a reference for those feelings. And so those feelings are very powerful, very overwhelming, feelings of attachment, feelings of attraction. And so we can have these epic love affairs emotionally with anybody who we are attached to in that way. And so, it's...
And you know what? I attribute certain wisdom to a certain level of experience as well. And I think nowadays, because there's so much adversity that the younger generations go through, in their mind, they've adopted this notion that they're grown because of the things that they've been through. It's unfortunate that tragedy and depression and sadness and a filthy growing up is forcing you to mature far beyond your years. I still think that kind of cripples them in a way too. Because now, as you get older, you're so used to trauma and all that bullshit happening that you've started to kind of mute out feelings and emotions. So when you do get in those spaces where you have to express yourself properly and communicate effectively in a relationship, perfect segue because that's what we're talking about now anyway, relationships, girl. Okay. You're not mature enough to really deal with that because you haven't dealt with that part of life yet, that part of what love is really supposed to be about to keep y'all connected. Because, you're mature when you're in your experience, but you still are of that age range that doesn't really qualify you. Again, we're talking about a point of reference, right? So if that's your only point of reference, you're going to walk through this life until you get another point of reference. We still got to grow. We still have to mature and become who we're supposed to become based on the trials and tribulations of this thing called life.
Yeah. It just all comes with time. It comes with time.
So moving on to that next, Carl. Okay, you're muted, girl. I thought did you want to add anything to this real quick?
I was just listening. I was waiting for the relationship to speak, but go ahead.
Okay.
I'll chime in on her.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
So we know that it's difficult in our community. Again, points of reference. A lot of us don't have positive points of reference. A lot of us have grown up in trauma. We've been in one-parent households or no-parent households at all, child. So, again, we absorb the things that we're around, and I don't think a lot of people, I don't feel like I've talked about this before. I probably have, girl. You know me, I'm crazy. But a lot of times our point of reference is based on what we've grown up around. So Who relationship people? If y'all are you in a relationship, raise your hand. Tramel, please. How do you have a successful relationship? How does it work for you? Because I remember at one point or another, if we let the show that won't be named, honey, it was 9 years before you were able to, so you were out of the dating pool, you were out of the whole like experience, and then you snatched up this beautiful man, honey. How did this happen, and how do you keep it alive and well and successful?
So I want to say that being single for 9 years was an experience that it should be celebrated, and singlehood should be celebrated for everyone. I want to say, which is why you write a song about the shit and make it sound good. You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm single.
Yes, I'm
Yes, honey.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
honey.
Singlehood should be celebrated because that's the time that you get to know yourself. So for me, being single for 9 years, I came from a relationship because I was in a relationship for 2 years with someone else. I've only had 2 boyfriends in my entire life.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
So after that relationship, I had to do some self-searching. I was only like 22 years old when it ended, and I was young. It was my first relationship. It was just like, had to figure out like what the fuck I did wrong and what part I played in. Of course, he cheated on me a lot, which was uncontrollable. But I had to figure out what part I played. And most of what I got from it was that I put so much of myself into that person that I had nothing for myself. I didn't take care of myself properly. And when dealing in a relationship, I want to say that, honestly, that plays a big, big factor in how somebody views you. If you feel like, if they look at you as somebody that they can walk all over, they will. If you're not a whole person going into a relationship, they will tear you apart. So you have to be a whole person, you have to stand strong, and you have to be willing to compromise in certain areas, but compromise only when it's, still beneficial to you, when it's uplifting the relationship and not just tearing you down, if that makes any sense. So I was single for 9 years because I never found anybody who made me feel like they were worth that special part of myself to say that they was my boyfriend. Of course, I went on dates and I dated people for extended periods of time sometimes, but I never ever was like, you're my boyfriend, because it was always like, I see things that are not cool. And when I found things that was not for me, they were not for me. So in this relationship that I am now, I found things that I was lacking because I was a whole person going into the relationship. So I found things that I got support for, just everything that I wanted to do. I found somebody who was very had morals, you know what I'm saying? Different values that I was used to from people, because I don't like cheating, and I got cheated on in my last relationship, and he was like, no, I don't do that nasty shit. I ain't about that. So that really turned me on. I like a loyal, non-friendly. You know what I'm saying? My nigga ain't friendly. He don't like nobody, and I love it like that.
Amen.
That's what I'm saying. The nigga I had before was friendly as fuck, and he fucked that.
Yes, I had a friendly ass nigga too.
Don't want that no more.
We don't want everybody typing maybe.
So I say find someone who truly cares about you as much as you care about yourself, and that you can care about as much as you care about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Find somebody who's your equal, who uplifts you and does things and has their own life. You know what I'm saying? Have their own life, have their own dreams, aspirations, goals. And that's what's been making my relationship successful, is this the camaraderie, but still the independence of it all. He can still go do his thing, I do my thing. Not like that, but I mean just working, go hang out with your friends, whatever the case may be. You have your own career, I have mine. We do our things together, and so that's what works for me.
It's not healthy. I used to hate to see, and this is I'm probably hating because I'm single type of bitch. You know what I'm saying? And I used to look at couples and be like, girl, like, why are y'all smothering each other all the fucking time? Right. I feel like that kind of smokes out the relationship. Like, give your partner some time to like have fun on their own. Like, don't be so possessive and up their ass. There's plenty of time for that. There's plenty of time to really have that moment with each other.
Right.
Let's make it special, because I want to miss you, nigga. Hello.
Now, I like being up under my man now. I like being up, but I only like
being up under my man too. But I think individuality is very important in a relationship.
I like being up under my man only when we by ourselves. But if he got to go somewhere, if he got to go hang out with his friends, you go hang out with your friends. That's cool. If you want me to come, I'll come. But if you don't want me to come, you can go. But just let me know what time it is, so I don't have to put my no clothes on. I can stay, I can figure out
Right.
what the fuck. But that's all. That's just just common courtesy and stuff like that. So I feel like
individuality is very important in a relationship. It's very important to remain an individual, because you don't want to lose yourself so deeply in the relationship to where like all you are is that relationship. You need to still maintain the life you had beforehand. So I think that's perfect that you are just like, you know what, if you want to go out with your boys and I stay here, that's completely fine. Because even though you want to be up under your man and you love him dearly, sometimes you just want to be by your damn self.
Right. And
it's nothing personal. You just want to be alone.
I think of everybody as like a puzzle. We're all puzzles that are being put together in little pieces, and we have our own pieces. And at the end of the day, I feel like somebody, your special someone, should be that one piece that you're missing. Now, when you finally get that piece, don't focus on it so much to the point where you lose the whole picture of the puzzle that you're building. Because then you're just lost and you're focusing on this one piece. And then if you lose that piece, you lost yourself. And then people go crazy, do things that are irrational, stalking people and stuff like that. You are still a whole person, even if that person is not around. You're still a whole person. You still have your own life dreams. You still have things that you have to attain. So you just have to keep a hold of that and not get lost in it. I ain't gonna lie. I've done it a few times. Well, even in this relationship, I lost myself a few times. You know what I'm saying? But, you got to bring it back. You got to bring it back and just remember who you are.
It happens.
It's easy to get lost in love.
Yeah, but I think that's a good sign. The fact that you are getting lost means that you are invested in it.
Of course.
And what's even better is the fact that you have the awareness to say, whoa, I need to take a step back and really just get back to me for a while. We ain't got a problem.
I'm tripping.
Yeah, that's great. That you have
with his friends. It don't mean nothing. I'm tripping. I'm just tripping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had to get out of that too. If I told a nigga to call me at 8 o'clock, he called me at 8:01. I was just like, go be with that hoe, because obviously you not living a straight and narrow. But I had to.
I like the advice of you got to take your time to get to know yourself, become that whole person before you step into anything. Because if you don't know yourself, it's easier to be swayed more so on what that person desires mostly.
Right.
And you end, like you said, you do kind of end up losing yourself in the process because you have yet to really spend that bonding time with you. Going into situations more prepared will help you alleviate a lot of the fuck shit that may take place in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. And that awareness of who you are, also lets you know what you will and won't tolerate. Like, you have your boundaries set in stone and they are clear. Because if you are rooted in who you are, it's just like, I'm not going to deal with this. This is a deal breaker for me, and I'm just not going to sway on it left or right.
And that's another thing. People are so quick to let go of their deal breakers just for the sake of saying that they have someone. And I've never quite understood that. I've never been that.
Trauma.
I've never been that person. Now, I can say that in my long history of trying to find someone really special or whatever, I've never been one of those people to let go of my deal breakers. I always had my strict list, and I stuck to that motherfucker like no other.
So the strict list, does that work? Because me and YB go head to head about this, because I am somebody with a list as long as Texas is big, and I'm just, but you know what? It's not like materialistic stuff. I just want you to have goals. I want you to be ambitious. I want you to be smart. I want you to be family oriented, things like that. But I think I'm so like unwavering on that sometimes I sabotage an opportunity to get to know somebody, even if it's not going to be for long term. I can still learn something from that experience. But I'm quick to be like,
waste time though. Like, at the end of the day, you don't want to waste time with somebody who's really not worth your time. Finding quality people, sometimes the quality people are not the people that you actually will look at. That sometimes everybody gets so caught up in looks and what's sexy and what's hot for the moment and stuff like that. You actually miss out on somebody who's really nice. And then sometimes you get caught up on like, let me try to date somebody who's nothing that I would want, because that nothing that I wanted. And then you miss out on the opportunity to be with somebody who you actually want to be with, because you're just trying to settle. And just to say that you have someone that which are both wrong as fuck to do.
Ashanti said it best, honey. The things that we accept turn out to be the things that we regret.
Right.
And all my ladies, sing
with me. Hey, because I'm
Here you go. Down on the fucking words, man. Here you go.
When I was young, I had like five. I think I had like 5 things on my list. I didn't want to date someone who is fresh out of a relationship. it was just like I didn't want to date nobody. You had to have one of the three. Oh, no, you had two. You had to have two of the three things. You had to have a job, a house, or a car.
Yes.
You was good to go, but if you didn't have, if you was missing two of them, I'm like, I can't go there.
Exactly.
So, exactly. Like that, like, and I'm not talking about saying you had to add your own. It's just things that you like look at that are simple things. Because honestly, if you eliminate people who are based off the simple things of dealing with, you will eliminate a whole lot of bullshit. Because there's a lot of niggas out here that just ain't shit for real, and they don't have nothing going on. Like they don't have a job, they don't have a car, and they don't work. They just sit around all day, but you still fuck with them because they still look, they look good enough to fuck with, I guess.
Those are the
that dick be good, girl. That broke nigga dick. That broke nigga dick is that dick, honey.
But you gotta think that's all they do. Right? They sit around all day fucking.
But I think that's what you was talking about earlier. Those are the types of dudes that you just kind of fucking dump. Like you don't stick around and try to build anything meaningful.
Again, I'm gonna say what Ashanti said: the things that we accept be the things that we regret, girl.
I'm not.
Them, you'll miss out on somebody who's good.
Right. For me, I'm just not about to do that.
How many times I ain't even I'm gonna ask you a question. I want people to raise your hands, or if you don't, you can hold. How many of you have actually passed up on going out on a nice date with a nice guy just because you wanted to get some toxic dick from somebody else? For that night or for that day or for that week.
Also because like aesthetically, the guys who they really had their shit together. Aesthetically, you're just not my type. And it's just like fuck. I feel bad because it's like I don't want to be prejudiced or I don't want to be like,
discriminatory.
I don't want to do
niggas look good. They just look better.
Yeah.
And I have a toxic magnet. Like if you toxic, like you automatically come like I'm the person you automatically come to. I don't know why.
I think it's a Leo thing.
I've raised so many men. I am just like they call me the babysitter, bitch. I just raise men. That's all I do. I raise them up and ship them out. This is what
they grow so fast, don't they? Don't they grow so fast?
They grow up so fast, don't they? So fast.
Carl, you turn them into better men before they leave you.
I got to, because I show them what a real man's supposed to do. Like when I come into a relationship, I do things like. I cook, I clean. I mean, everybody think I'm a nasty whore, but I'm really not. I'm really like a Susie homemaker type of bitch. So, I like that's how I do regularly for me. But what I've learned in my relationships that what makes a great relationship is the fact that two people have to both want it. Like the guy that I was with last, like he was very supportive of everything I did. If I had thing, he showed up. If I had an event and I didn't tell him, he was upset that I didn't let him know. But why you wasn't in my event, you was out here, on Jack through and everybody that was out here. So I mean, it's just like, you're supportive and you're doing everything on paper. It looks right, but you don't really either. I think he really didn't he didn't know how to be in a relationship, or he didn't want one, but he liked the ideal of one. And if in order to have a good relationship, y'all both have to want it.
I think men like that have this complex of like, I want this, but I don't want to lose this. So it's like, let me try to be in this relationship and try to be supportive. But I feel like if I go balls deep into this relationship, I'm never gonna have the life I used to have, and I can't.
That's where he was. I think that's exactly where he was. He missed the old life. He didn't want to let them both go.
I dealt with a man like that.
But he wanted them both.
I dealt with a man like that. Great man, great conversationalist. Introduced me to Marvel, so I know he got a good head on his shoulders. But he could not stop being a hoe. He just could not. He just couldn't stop fucking, and I was just like, "Oh, girl, this,
He just couldn't stop fucking. He just couldn't stop fucking."
And I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was me that you couldn't stop fucking. But it's everybody. It's just girl.
I was laying there butt booty naked every night, bitch. You out here fucking, and some of the bitches I think busting down wasn't even cute, bitch. You just busting them down because you just ain't not fucking. I don't know.
I feel like if I'm that bitch, and I know a lot of girls say this, but I feel like all of us in some way, girl, we are that bitch. Amen. I feel like, girl, at the end of the day, I will suck you. You can fuck. Girl, I am a freak of nature. You don't need, require, and desire nothing else. But what this loving is going to give your motherfucking ass. So to step out to a subpar ass bitch who don't even know how to deep throat, girl, bye. Miss me with it, honey.
I'm with it.
That's where we realize that they actually have a problem, because it's not about the sex and good at home. And it's just like mayonnaise. I want more. I see it. It's greed. I see that, and I want it. And
it's greed.
It had nothing to do with at home. At home is great. I just want that too.
I think it's an insecurity within themselves. It's not you. I had to
Yeah,
realize.
they don't feel good enough.
It
They
wasn't.
don't feel
Don't
good enough.
It wasn't me. It was just you just wanted other shit. That's like, which is fine. And I mean, I'm a whore ass bitch. I mean, if you wanted to bring a couple of them bitches home, I probably been okay with it. All you gotta do is let a bitch know.
Hey.
I'm doing freaky shit. Like, bitch, why you ain't tell me? I want to.
You know, the Bible says that the more two or more that gather, hallelujah.
Amen.
Now that's quite
Y'all will not.
Where two or more gather.
That is called a blasphemous orgy.
Yes, it is. Because the rest of that scripture is God is there in the midst also.
Well, if that mist could be misconstrued for cream, honey, hallelujah.
I feel like dudes like the most dudes. I'm not gonna say, well, not even most. I'm gonna say a lot of guys are usually in it for, I'm gonna stay here until I find something better. Like I'm gonna fuck with you, but I still don't want to settle down until I find something that I really truly.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I'm not stuck on the idea of monogamy, because I feel like it's not a natural state of being for the human experience. I don't think that we are.
I think it depends on the people. I feel like every relationship is different. Like you might if I'm not gonna have the same standards for my last boy as I have for the one before him. Like it's different. It's a case by case basis for me. I'm into monogamy, and it doesn't bother me because in my 20s I did the horror shit probably known to man, and I'm good. Like I can live in life with one person and be fine. All the slut bucket shit I done done. But on the other hand, I can still do some more slut bucket shit with my man if that we have a conversation and we communicate and we figure out that works for us. Because I know a lot of people within relationships that they do threesomes and orgies and sex parties and all that good stuff, and they live a happy married life. These people are married, and it just depends. So it's like you have to know who.
Y'all gotta have an understanding though. Y'all gotta have that understanding and be on the same page. Y'all have to.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm very empathetic toward the whole like cheating, infidelity thing for two reasons. I feel like our society is so fucking delayed, tired, and through and out fucking dated. For one, like I feel like infidelity is really rampant in our damn community. Because a lot of gay men, because of like homophobia and being suppressed, had a late growth spurt. Like we weren't allowed to really nurture our orientation the way that heterosexuals are. Like literally think about how heterosexual people are encouraged to be romantic, and they see male and female dynamics in cartoons from the time that they are fucking children. They see Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Jasmine and Barbie and Ken, and their sexuality is encouraged. And they're supported when it's time for them to date appropriately. They have the support of their family. They have the support of a society. LGBT people are not afforded that. So I feel like a lot of men are like a big kid in a candy store. And even though, yeah, they love you and they do mean that love, but I do got a fucking problem because I've never had the time to really exhaust that and to really be fluid and to indulge and to understand my body and to understand my sexuality in that way. And so I make a lot of room for, not that I encourage infidelity in my relationships, but it's not a deal breaker just because I understand like the sociology aspect of what the fuck has happened coupled with the psychological. Also, because America is deeply fucking traditional, I feel like we never get, like, the people that we're calling cheaters, a lot of them are really just polyamory, but they don't know that because we lived in such a traditional nation that only encouraged monogamy. And so people didn't know that having a capacity to love more than one person was also a natural thing to do. And so those people had to force themselves into the only thing that was really offered, which was monogamy, and then couldn't sustain it because they're really polyamory, and then they end up fucking cheating and then getting the title of the bad guy because boom, like, it's not that I'm necessarily a cheater. I just have a larger capacity for love. I remember TD Jake spoke about how some people have a 50-gallon tank for love, and some people have a 10-gallon tank for love. Some people got a 5-gallon. Some people got a 75%. Like, so everybody has a different capacity, which is why I'm here for this movement of polygamy, polyamory. I love that we're giving options to people so that people can get in where the fuck they fit in at it, instead of not being monogamous, but then being with somebody who's monogamous and then indirectly breaking their heart and really sending them through and through and through because of the cheating and shit. And so I encourage this open, inclusive society. But I just wanted to say that I understand. I get why men in our community are, you know.
I mean, but with me, I'm a firm believer. I'm like me. I believe, but
Oh, you went out, baby.
Yeah, you're sound out, boo.
Yeah, somebody keep calling me. But I'm believing monogamy myself, but I believe in polygamy too. My thing with that is that, like for my last relationship, when I say every relationship is a case by case basis. So meaning when we first got a relationship, I asked like, are you open to an open relationship? Because I really prefer a monogamous relationship, but I'm open. Like I can do polygamy. That, you know, if you know, we talk about it. Communication is key. What people need to learn now is communication is key. Talk to the person that you're with, because you never know. Don't take my options away. Don't put this monogamous agenda on me, because he the one that came in like, let's delete all your hoes. We gonna delete all our hoes. We gonna be together. And you wanted to be a whore out here in these streets. You could just say, bitch, I love you. I want to be with you, but bitch, I want to come here and have, you know, a bite a couple of these apples out here. Bitch, I like to fuck too. So, hey, we could have just talked about it, both have been fucking and just kissing on each other at home. That's how I feel.
So I'm gonna be the different one, and I'm gonna tell you I ain't with none of that shit.
Me either. Me neither.
And now, fuck shit, none of that. I've always been one of those people. Like, if I was gonna be in a relationship, I'm going to be in a relationship. Now, what I will say, to the conscious point, yes, you are correct. I want to say that they've never given us. I think the problem with the gay community is they've never given us like people to look up to when it comes to monogamy. So we've always been seen as sexual deviants. So I feel like a lot of that is expressed throughout the community as a thing. You know, monogamy has never been one of those things that have been, you know, fostered as something that's good in the gay community, because they don't want us to be together anyway. So everybody just fucking because they just that's what they know to do. So I know people have open relationships and all that other stuff, and I think that's great, but y'all can do that shit. I'm not even interested in none of that motherfucking shit because I'm too jealous. I have a problem. I know myself and I know what I want. I don't want nobody who wants nobody else. I'm very prideful and I don't want nobody. One thing I don't like about
Amen. I'm the same exact way.
One thing I don't like about open relationships is the thought of the embarrassment of somebody saying that they fucked my man and that not everybody understanding the dynamic of their relationship. So I'd rather just eliminate the whole motherfucking thing. Bitch, because you walk around talking about you fucked my man, bitch. And I already know, but you ain't gonna be saying
amen to that. Hallelujah.
That's what I'm not doing. We're not doing that shit. So if you got to fuck
somebody, let me ask you this,
really gotta fuck somebody else, girl, you do not need to be with
me. Tell us how you really feel, Tremel. Tell us how you really motherfucking feel.
No, I want to ask. I posed this question to the panel real quick before we get up out of here. Is it possible to have love for more than one person?
Yeah, well, that's what polyamory is all about. It's a capacity.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, you can also be
successful. I'm gonna tell you, you have two men in your life. Both are great. We all love each other. We're all building together, growing together, fucking and sucking together, living this life together. Is it possible to find that symbiotic relationship?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Not for me.
I'm gonna tell you why we even got to go through the rollover, because if you can have more than one favorite pair of jeans, and have a love for more than one vehicle, more than one type of home, if you can have a love for people have multiple children and equally love their children. People have multiple pets and love all of their pets. So why would then that all of a sudden not be the case when it comes to human beings?
Because baby, think about it. With cars, with houses, with children, with pets, Hell, with dick, we may have a lot of them to choose from, but we always got a favorite.
You can have multiple. I have multiple. Like I have multiple favorite movies. I have multiple favorite.
But I'm sure you have one movie that trumps them all. I'm sure.
But we're not even talking about a Trump. We're just talking about love. Yes, I can love more than one person. I have multiple best friends. I have multiple every damn thing in my life. Of course, I can love.
Exactly. But I mean,
of course, I can love more than one person intimately. Yes.
That's true. You can love the jeans. You can love the jeans. You can love the cars, but you're not gonna put them on at the same time. You can't put both of them jeans on at the same time.
I've been in polyamory relationships, and I actually, what I like about polyamory, to be honest, like in my mind, polyamory is like it's the most mature, probably truest form of love, because what polyamory creates is I don't have an ego, so that possessiveness and territorialism doesn't get in the way. Like the virtues of love include sharing and openness and fluidity. When I'm being possessive of my man, it means I'm being egoic, and I have a egoic attachment to something that truly does not belong to me. And even he knows that, which is why he's bound to cheat and to utilize his free will how he will, because there's nothing substantiating that possessiveness other than my personal ego about what I believe is mine. And so when it comes to really letting go of the ego, you will find that you're able to let go. You're able to just simply be. You're able to just simply love. And if you want to be with other people too, I have the capacity to accept that, because I don't measure myself against their bitch anyway. So my relationship to you is what it is. You already have multiple relationships to other bitches aside from me, even if they're not necessarily intimate. You have close friends. You have a mother who you love dearly. You have a brother who you are adamantly close to. You have people who I'm going to share you with, even if it's not necessarily sexual or platonic. And then when we bring in the idea of sex, I'm not threatened by a nigga fucking another bitch, because I know that men can fuck us a 40-pound bitch with no teeth, one strand of struggling hair hanging off the top of their motherfucking head, behind the motherfucking dumpster of Mrs. Thicket, and don't even know that whole name, and forgot that he put his dick in every fucking hole that she has, and can't even recount it the next morning, because men, more than women, completely have a compartmentalized relationship to sex, where they truly mean it when they say to you, baby, that bitch don't mean nothing to you. They literally mean that, because that bitch don't mean nothing to him. You left that bitch behind a dumpster. You ain't even call an Uber on that hoe. She's still there.
Why are we making that okay? Why is that okay?
You don't mean shit.
Why is that okay?
But I do want to say this though, and when I look at history and I look at, the pharaohs, the kings and the queens, they all had their concubines. They all had their separate love affairs.
Those marriages were arranged, so they ain't loving people anyway.
But there were some stories where people did genuinely love each other. But I think that because America is so on this European kind of way, the framers are European and we adopted their traditions, because we are born in this time in America, that way of thinking actually was with our ancestors. It takes a village, technically came from a time where you had a man who had multiple wives, and all of them, everyone was putting in raising the family together.
But you know what the problem with that was? Why she can't have multiple husbands?
And a lot of times there were situations like that. And
I never heard of them.
Across our times,
I never heard of them.
Because you know why? Because history tries to suppress the openness and the powerful divine feminine female. They love to make it seem like in history women were they were just slaves and they were nothing. But history, as we start to do more research on women in authoritative positions, especially that pertains to ancient Africa, you know what I'm saying? These women were the heads of their households. And even over there in the Middle East, like there's so many different reference points, and it just seems like for the life of me, people try to dim the power of the divine feminine so much to make masculine seem like the rule of thumb for all things. And America, again, is designed by a bunch of fuckers who stole the laws and the ways and traditions of another country. So I feel like it's okay to have these differences of opinion, but I feel like we should be a little more open because I feel like the world is changing. And girl,
so let me ask you this, though. How would you feel if you
let me shut up.
How would you feel if you was in a polyamorous relationship and homeboy said, "I love this other person more"? What would you do then?
Say that again. Repeat the question.
You're in a polyamorous relationship and your man is falling more in love with the other person and now wants to be with them solely.
Yeah,
then
they don't want to fuck with you no more. See, that's what I be scared about. That's how you know he a Leo.
But why you even setting yourself up for that?
Well, beating the fuck out of both of them and dragging and burning all of their prized possessions.
Why you doing all of that, bitch? We being open. We being open.
We're open. But let me say this though. This is what I said about Fran's old lopsided ass and chasing LA. You have to be completely in sync with that partner to even embark on that kind of journey with each other. Again, it goes to knowing yourself, then going into a relationship, knowing each other and becoming comfortable to let that be a chapter in your book. If you're not walking side by side in that endeavor, again, the kings and queens, we talked about them, they always remain with their husbands. These niggas were just a fuck. Because at the end of the day, this is who I'm loving. This is who I have my emotions for. But pleasure can be gathered from other areas as well. It's not just about loving and emotional attachment to a physical person. It can be giving their pussy away to, someone who's going to please you probably better than what your husband.
You better go get you a cheesecake slice, honey. Eat that shit.
And call it a motherfucking day. Like,
not for me, because I got a bottom that night. Hello, God. Girl, the cheesecake is going to do it to you.
You want some pleasure, bitch? You better go have yourself a drink and sit your ass in this house.
That's what toys are for.
I feel like it's okay, and I feel like it is possible to love, but again, I do feel strongly about you have to be completely in sync with one another in order to make it successful.
Yeah, because I think that's something that's missing from the conversation is that, like, the whole statement, because it's truly true. What's for you is for you. Like, a nigga didn't leave you because you're in a polyamory relationship and he's loving more than one bitch. He was going to fall out of love with you any fucking way. It's just that this is just a particular circumstance that manifested that. But that doesn't create the leaving. Somebody who wants to be a kept bitch is a kept bitch. A nigga who wants to be a kept nigga is a kept nigga. You can put that same nigga who want to be kept in a room full of hoes and he's coming back home to you faithfully while never have touched any bitch. And so
why is that? Why can't I get that?
You can't get it.
Being in a room full of bitches, don't touch them all because you have a loyalty to me. I don't need you to fuck them all and be like, but they didn't mean shit. So let's get down. Come on, let's do our thing. You got me fucked up.
No.
You can get look. A Tremel has that type of man, and that and a Tremel isn't like where his boyfriend came from. There's more of those type of men available. Like,
no, I'm sure. I just don't want people to fall into this thing of like we all got to be that way. Or I'll be open to it. I feel like if that's the case, everybody gonna be fucking everybody, and then there isn't gonna be no such thing as monogamy. So it's like, okay, if it works for you, then it works for you. Like I'm all for it. I just particularly like.
I think polyamorous is nice for people who can deal with it. Honestly, when you say that what is meant for you is meant for you, that is definitely. But I just don't. I'm one of those people that I don't like to tempt fate with opening those doors because. Honestly, at the end of the day, like let's not kid ourselves. There's always somebody who probably might be better, more sexy, and all this other shit. So insecurities can't.
I don't want you to discover that you like polyamory through me. I don't want you to discover that you like polyamory through me. I don't want to have that conversation that you were initially a monogamous man, and because I opened that door, now you realize, oh, I like fucking multiple people.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm scared. That's what concerns me about the way you think about it, Kat, is the fact that you want to be in control of something that is completely out of your hands. Like the truth is, we're all going to be like people have been stepping stones for us, and we're going to be stepping stones for others, even when we don't want to be. There are people who, like, I earned some wisdoms in my life at other people's expense, and other people are going to learn wisdom and knowledge about themselves at my expense. And so I don't even worry about trying to necessarily think in a way that like avoids that. I know it's going to happen, but
Who opened you up to polyamorous relationships?
Huh?
Who opened you up to polyamorous relationships?
But see, that's the thing. Nobody opened me to it. It's just like I grew personally just as a loving person. Okay. And in just growing in just being a loving person and just continuing to push away from my ego, it made my life easier. And then I became addicted to not having an ego because I found that I wasn't stressing so much over stupid shit because I didn't really have an ego like that to stress over stupid shit. And so I was never threatened when my best friends had other close friends. I was never threatened if my man found another nigga cute. I wasn't threatened by the idea of even sharing my man. I just everything connected to the ego was just washed away. And when I think sometimes we don't know how it feels to be without an ego. And so we don't know how rewarding it is and how better and how healthier we are until we give ourselves permission to just let go of the social constructs, let go of the you that needs to be validated in the world, that needs to be validated by your peers, the you that needs to be validated in a relationship. If you would just allow yourself to become whole and to just fall away, you would find that everything that you truly want really is actually in that self. It's not in the egoic self that's clinging so hard and wanting to control the circumstances so bad. And we have found that when we try to control shit more, we agitate our lives and it becomes more contract that I'm not in fucking control. Yeah. There's a reason why you're not in control. The real blessings of your life are hidden behind all the ego shit. If you just let go, you will find that the universe would just supply fluidly.
I'm very surrendering to the universe. I don't want to control anybody or anything. It's just not for me. I'm just not interested in it. That's all. And I just want.
It feels good to have all that he's talking about, all that Conscious is talking about, and to not be in control of the relationship and just letting it naturally happen, because it's an amazing feeling to not have an ego and to just be yourself. To not feel insecure is a good feeling, and to know that person's not going to cheat on you at the end of the day.
And I also think coming into the situation already whole within self is very important. Right. Because I'm not looking for a man to complete me. I just want him to only want me. That's it. I'm good with or without a man. I don't need, what's crazy is I have my rendezvous. I just don't want to be in a committed relationship still doing that. Right. That's all.
Yeah.
You want to be kept.
Yeah. Speaking to YB's point, I look at humanity a lot like the animal kingdom. Like, there are animals that actually practice commitment in the animal kingdom, and then there are animals who practice what we would call polyamory. And man is just an extension of nature. And so, as to Kat's point, there are people who are naturally monogamous, and there's nothing wrong with monogamy. There's also nothing wrong with people who are polyamory. There's nothing wrong on either side. People just have to be true to their own identity and the way that they show up in this world. And we just have to continue as a society to provide those spaces that make it available for everyone, because not everybody operates the same. Not everybody has the same spiritual metabolism, if you will. Some people have a higher spiritual metabolism. We're all built different. We all exist different. We all just have a capacity for things differently. But before we end, I just want to actually answer the initial question about what it takes to be in a good relationship, which is not a very long motherfucking list at all.
You better have a list.
Like Tremel and Kat said, becoming whole is what's just going to save your fucking life. Becoming whole, that 9 years did you justice, sir, because the you before that 9 years, without all the experiences, without the growth, without the insight, without everything that you learned, probably would have contributed to ending this relationship if it would have happened any sooner than what it really did. And so that gave you the opportunity to really learn, and that's really important in becoming whole. I also want to kind of put more perspective to this idea that the only successful relationships in life are not the ones that are till death do us part. Temporary relationships are just as fulfilling. Even if you and your man were only together for 2 years or for a year or for 6 months, because something ends doesn't mean anybody failed. Just because something ends doesn't mean that anything was wrong. Good things have an expiration date too, and so we can't keep measuring successful relationships by way of if they end or not, we have to measure successful relationships based upon whether this was a healthy experience. Okay, like people die, people naturally grow apart. You still had a successful relationship, and so some of the best fairy tales also are the ones that that were very short, very temporary in our lives, and that's perfectly fine. I also want to say this: successful relationships. I believe my belief and attitude is we don't ever have to spice up the fucking relationship to keep it going. We don't ever have to like manually figure it out if we're both organically prioritizing evolving as people. In our personal priority of evolving as human beings, our relationship is going to remain intact if we're both moving forward in our consciousness, moving forward in our beingness. And so all this like trying to manufacture the spice and manufacture the flame, and well, let me dress up like Catwoman and you dress up like a fucking Mickey Mouse character, and let's open the damn relationship, or let me get breast implants and shit. Like, it's not necessary. Like, that's it, girl. Just level up. Like, let's level up. You level up, and leveling up, it'll all be all fine. Just as long as everybody is in this of leveling the fuck up. So. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. I like that.
Great
Any
points.
last words before we get out of here?
Well, y'all definitely opened my mind to polyamory and just how it works and operates. And just, the thought process, like these people are not out to hurt anybody. They just have a larger capacity for love. And it makes sense now. I always thought people who were polyamorous were just greedy and just wanted everything. But it's not like that. Sometimes people just, have a larger capacity for wanting to express themselves sexually. And people aren't like me. Like everybody doesn't see sex the same way I do. Sometimes it's just a means of having a good time, and that's it. Once I'm done, I'm done. So this was definitely eye-opening to teach me a different perspective on how sex and relationships are viewed. Because I was not, I'm still not with it for myself, but I can support it, with somebody else. I can definitely support that.
And I definitely understand like where you're coming from, Kat, because so many people were like petrified of the whole open relationship movement. It was like, wait, do I have to sign up for that shit? Because that's not what I want. And I just want to assure monogamous people that you don't have to sign up for that shit. Like including polyamory is a lot like including LGBT. Like we're just making space for other things at the table so that other folk can get in where they fit in at. But everybody can be true to themselves and have their own lane. So it just has the lane for those who do identify as polyamory and feel polyamorous.
I have no problem with you being polygamous or whatever. Just make sure you figure that shit out before you come to me.
Yeah.
If you into poly shit, bitch, figure that shit out when you come to somebody. So y'all can have that conversation. Y'all can talk about it, and you can don't take that bitch's options away. Let them decide whether they want to do that shit with you or they want to be in a monogamous world and they don't want to be nowhere near you. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm saying.
And that's the whole point of becoming whole, like, because in your self-discovery, that's what you figure out and bring to the table is a more clarified, complete self.
And once you become whole, your priorities change. Like my list again is not tangible. I don't want somebody who is this and chocolate and built. I want somebody who can communicate, and who has ambitions and goals and stuff like that. So I think in monogamy and in poly relationships, communication is key. Period.
Yeah.
Relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh Lord.
What?
Sure, there was a reason why I was on mute because I was just about to say some damaging things about myself, but I am trying to become whole in a few minutes. So, we're gonna go ahead and, anything else before we do?
Oh, I got one story that I want to share with the group that I actually heard last night. So this is actually a part of polyamory. Apparently there was this guy who I met last night. He was hanging out with a friend of mine. So I met him. He was cool. He told me that he was actually in a sexual situation with a guy who liked to watch his wife have sex with other men. So he was into
voyeurism, girl. That's what it's called.
Right. So apparently they had a conversation. Him and the guy had a conversation about the lady's dryness. Apparently she's not really into it, but she's actually just sacrificing parts of herself to actually make her husband happy, apparently. So it definitely needs to be a conversation, and when people are really not into it, you should definitely go by what the signs are and not just
read the room. You know when somebody don't really want to do this shit. Read the room.
It says she was dried in a sandbox. So
not sandbox.
Oh baby.
But that's not really. But that's more of an issue, not really a polyamory, but it's really just unfortunately a product of like that patriarchy. Like unfortunately, women have been grown to
just accept
need men and to be of servitude to men in such a way that even if it costs them their own personal dignity and pride and self-respect, that hey, so be it, because that's my role as a woman, to be feminine and to be submissive and to endure whatever it is that my husband can come up with his fucked up ass mind. So yeah, that's I actually have a I ain't gonna say his name, but I have a straight friend who actually does that kind of as like a little side hustle. He has like eight couples, and they call him whenever they're ready for the business, and he goes and fucks the dog shit out of these guys, these white men's wives, fucks these white women all in their assholes and all in their throats, and while they sit there and watch him ejaculate all over them, and he gets paid dumb, stupid.
Yes, honey.
He get paid.
Where
dumb
would I apply for a job of that nature?
Okay.
Where's the application for that?
I ain't into it, but if the coins is calling, bitch, I'm answering.
I too would tear up some white fish. I love perch.
Amen. All right, so we'll tell everybody where they can find y'all.
Y'all know where y'all can find me. Don't play.
Right. I carry and catch me out. Come on.
Okay, well, y'all know the tea already then, honey. As tradition with the Yes Gawd Roundtable, at the end of every episode, I like to give a cute little quote, honey. Okay, and tonight's quote is by some bitch named Brene Brown, honey. One day you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. Amen.
Oh, amen.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that was cute.
We do over here at the Yes Gawd Roundtable, hashtag impact, bitch. Amen. Now it's time for me to get my back blown out. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. This has been a wonderful day. They said Sunday was the day she rested, and this is the day that I get active. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Y'all have a wonderful night. And again, let me just say this. I love and appreciate every last one of you guys for being here. I do appreciate it so much. Love it.
Amen.
Yeah, I apologize for my tardiness. I was late, bitch. I had a long fucking day.
I already apologized to you, bitch.
Okay, there's a lot happening though.
You're good, Judy. Always there for you.
Okay,
and your good
my girl.
And your good Judy also said that he was going to cuss you the fuck out on our behalf too.
He will, I'm sure.
But you made it nonetheless, so I appreciate you sparing your
time. We'll get this bitch a day planner, I told you.
Well, I need one. I have one. I just need.
I need one my damn self.
I need to hang it up. Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
But all right, I love y'all. Thank you so much, and until next week,
y'all.
Bye.
We'll be back next week, guys. Thank y'all so much for the love and the support. And I'll try to fit more in so we can include the chat as well. So I apologize for neglecting y'all, but honey,
we should definitely get a call-in number for sure. That'd be
cute.
That'd be cute.
Yeah.
I can create a text now. Hallelujah.
Amen.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good night. Enjoy your Sunday.
Bye. Have a good night.